everyone. Welcome to Expert Insights, another episode. Good to be back in the studio with Sue.
Yes, it is.
All right. So topic today is 2020 outcomes, reacting to today or being strategic for tomorrow.
Right on. And you know, Joe, I got to tell you, I was doing some reading as I shared with you this weekend. I was reading our buddy Ron Shevlin's book, Smarter Bank.
Great book, by the way.
And it's awesome. And one of the things that he talked about in the book that was so fascinating is he said, you know, up until recently, banks haven't really had a need to innovate. And he said until they have three things in place, which is technology change, demographic change, and an economic imperative, you know, they haven't really needed to innovate. But there's so many things happening.
Forced, right?
That's right. But there's so many things happening now, including, you know, advent of mobile technologies, demographic shift, economic things happening that are really turning that tide. And we're seeing banks start to innovate, right?
We're seeing it across the spectrum of our client base. On the lending side, on the mortgage lending side, we see people at literally 3 times their normal capacity. So you're seeing some forced innovation there. You're seeing it on the banking side. Think of all the PPP loans, right? And the onslaught of business that's come in, and they're sitting here. You've really got 2 types of organizations from what we see day in and day out. You've got the first type, which is they're just running, trying to tread water,
right?
Basically executing,
reacting
to what's happening, and just changing and trying not to get crushed with the demand.
Yep.
And then you've got the other organizations who are saying, this is great, we need to deliver on everything going on right now. But what I really care about is how can we use this opportunity so that 12 months from now, we've used it as a springboard.
Absolutely.
We've actually catapulted the company, the organization forward. We've won more market share. And that's a big difference in mindset between organizations out there.
Well, it is. And you see it, you know, I mean, right now, there's a lot of people that are in need, right, of guidance, of advice, of information. They're turning to their financial institutions. I read something recently saying that 78% of millennials were being impacted by what's happening right now. Most of them are reaching out to their financial institution looking for advice. And so to your point, it's solve the problem of today, give the guidance for today, but then how are you actually laying groundwork into the future for your customers and for your company?
And that's something that a lot of people get lost. A lot of our customers, even organizations that we talk with, they struggle with getting beyond, hey, I need to help these people on the banking side for whether it be a PPP loan or a small business line of credit or something to keep them going through this. On the lending side, we're just challenged to get everybody closed with the demand that we have. But there's another layer there that people want. And we've seen that when you can connect with them and answer questions, be an advocate for them, give them advice, really just make them feel comfortable.
Right. Well, and you think behind every data point that you see about PPP loans, how many you're processing, there's a human story behind every single one of those applications.
It's still about people.
It is. And showing up right now during this time when people need you most is a way that, again, financial institutions can really lay a groundwork that lasts into the future.
So I want to unpack the 2 scenarios that I think we see most right now. On the lending side, all of the refis coming in, all the home equity lines. I mean, home ownership and your home as a sanctuary, as a personal sanctuary, has really never been higher in terms of priorities.
True story.
I mean, and we see that in all the markets. And so what we're seeing organizations do well in some cases and poorly in others, taking those people coming in that they have this opportunity to do all this business, but how are you taking care of those relationships? So it's going to be, it's seeding opportunities for a year from now, 2 years from now, referrals when they decide to move up. How are you taking care of those people? How are you preventing things from just falling through the cracks, and how are you getting back to people? And how you perform during this time is going to have a big impact on your brand and your business, more so tomorrow. Today, there's plenty of demand. It's not a concern. But tomorrow, how you treat people, how you handle the transaction process, the post-transaction process is really impactful. On the PPP side, we see a lot of the banks that we've worked with said record numbers of new customers on the commercial side. And we see some of the organizations that are saying, let's get a playbook in place and let's engage these people who are not our customers yesterday and run an action plan on bringing them on as more of a relationship.
That's right. Well, and especially, when you're dealing with somebody on the lending side, you think about the mass amount of very personal information somebody's sharing with you. There are things that if you're at a cocktail party, these have been the most awkward questions to ever ask somebody. Hey, how much do you make? How many kids do you have? How much debt do you have? How much do you have in savings? Like, it's very personal questions, right? But when they're able to take all that and then be able to craft a strategy for that customer, those are the things that build those relationships for life.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we'll end with a couple of points of advice for any leaders or executives who are out there. We try to do that. And I think the key takeaways from today's message is really around make sure that you're being purposeful and intentional about what you need to do to maximize the opportunities. From 2020 has been like a year none of us have ever seen before. And as a leader, as a management team in an organization, the questions you want to be asking are we being intentional and purposeful about using the things that are happening right now, all of the onslaught of business, the customers that we have a chance to bring into our organization and get to know if you're on the bank or credit union side, what are we doing to seed those opportunities for tomorrow? So that as this year passes going into next year, are you well positioned? So asking those questions. Do you have an action plan around engaging those customers? If you don't, put together a playbook. Have your leadership team, right? We talk about playbooks all the time.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be complex, but do something.
Post-it notes, you can map out that experience pretty well, right?
Map it out and say, what do we want? How do we want those new customers that we didn't have yesterday to feel about our company? And what do we need to do? Map that out. And on the mortgage lending side, I think it's really very similarly, how are we onboarding those new relationships? How are we educating them through the process? And then how are we making them feel post-closing?
That's right.
Those people today are our customers for tomorrow.
That's right. And what have they shared with us where we can be a help and a guide to them? Because that's what people are looking for right now.
They truly are. So there you have it. Thanks for joining us.